So, I'm going to be doing a little scene cleanup right now. I got a lot of stuff that's loaded into my scene that is, like the load time's not terrible, but I'm going to need to make this a lot more configurable since I'm going to have a lot of different scenes in my game, like visual scenes. So I've got my main test level that is kind of a start of an outdoor area that you can see over there in the distance. And you can also probably see I start marking areas where I'm going to place items or areas. I got my settlement there and I kind of squared out a little test section for where my outdoor encampment is going to be. And I wrote over here just a simple UI element in my scene to kind of tell me, okay, well, this is where I'm going to put the entrance to the first area so I can organize things accordingly. And then back over here, I've got my battle arena that when I start the scene is initially inactive. And then once you get into a battle, it activates and pretty sure the main terrain deactivates, but I'm not sure. Let's take a quick look, actually. Oh, I guess now I can't because I did that lock on. But yeah, so the main area, if I look at the scene view, it is still active. So because of, I don't want to be specific with the way I'm placing my battle arenas in the world, I should deactivate that. So I do need to do that. But the main thing I was going to do is I want my battle arena to be in a different scene that I'm going to load additively once the level loads up. And then in turn, once I load the level, I need a way to designate which battle arena scenes need to be loaded in. So if you encounter an enemy while you're on a grassy area, I want this battle arena to show up, but maybe over the sandy section, I'm going to have a different battle arena. Both of those arenas are valid for this level, but I don't want to just have to copy this arena into other locations if I have other outdoor areas that look similar, or other outdoor scenes that look similar. So first off, I'm going to create a prefab out of this battle arena. And really the only thing this battle arena has is the terrain information. And it has some empty game objects that act as placeholder transforms for where I'm going to put different items in the scene. And the arena itself has this battle arena script, which implements iBattleArena, which right now is added to my IOC container. Now, I'm going to need to devise a way to... So first off, if I have multiple arenas in a level, I can't have it just be the only iBattleArena instance in my scene. I need a way to manage these things and choose the correct one based on the terrain that the player has encountered a fight in. And just so you can see, the iBattleArena interface has information about just showing and hiding the arena and placing the player and placing enemies that are a part of the battle. And this is all called from the stationary battle manager, which gets enabled when the player enters a battle, and it has information about the unit that the player collides with and spins up enemy combatants and pulls the 3D models out of the pool as needed. So first off, I need my iBattleArena to have a key that I can look up which arena I'm targeting by. So a battle arena then is going to have a... So this is a bad habit of mine. I got in the habit of leaving variables as public because that way they get exposed in the Unity editor. But at the same time, these aren't variables I want to have accessible from anyone that's looking at the Battle Arena class. So you kind of solve this with the serialize field attribute. So you can mark elements as private, but they still appear in the editor. And I'm going to do the same thing for my key. And I'm going to set that in the editor, and that'll be local to each scene. The real question then is, so I'm going to have the arena in a scene, and it's going to, well, first off, we'll call him Grass Arena 1, because I don't know if I'm going to have multiple variations of a grass arena. So I'm going to go ahead, I've got my prefab, and you might notice I have a prefabs folder and a prefab folder. Similar to my scripts and old scripts, these are prefabs that came from a different project that as I'm going through, I'm going to decide which ones I need to pull in to my main prefab folder, and then I'll delete this when I'm done at the end of the project. So you can see some things in here like high score, in-app purchase store, sign-in prompt. These things aren't necessarily needed for this game, but they were useful in a mobile arcade game that I did. But so there might be concepts in there I want to take. But for prefab here, so I've got prefab and I've got a terrain prefab, and this has my different rocks and stuff. I'm going to need to segregate that more as I build more levels. But since the file location of the prefabs doesn't affect their use in a scene, you can move those around without really worrying about the association in the editor breaking. So I have battle, and I've got a folder for arenas. Oh, well, damn. Okay, well, I already made this into a prefab. Great. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to create a new one just in case. I guess I thought about that up front. So I've got my battle arena prefab. So now I'm going to save. And I'm going to create a new scene. I'm going to get rid of my camera and my directional light. I'm going to drop my battle arena in here. We'll keep him at the origin, 0, 0, 0. Game assets. Scenes. And I'm going to go ahead and just name that the same as the key. And I'm going to go ahead, do I get a recent scenes here in Unity? It's not that nice, is it? All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to open this this scene. Well, actually, I'm going to play first, make sure it's all good. Though it's probably going to yell at me for not having a camera. Yeah. Now, scenes. I think that was Field 1. Yeah. What's Forest 1? Forest 1 is just a test bed. So we'll get rid of that. Let's test. Test is another test arena, and test first person. So I was debating whether to use a third person or first person initially. So I'm going to go and get rid of these scenes. And I don't need this nav mesh from test. And Battle Arena doesn't need a nav mesh because we're not going to be moving freely in that area. So now we're here. So let's go ahead and Yeah, my grassy arena moved on me. So I got my arena, and I've got my scene. Now, you're not going to see this in the recording because of the way OBS doesn't really pick up menus or pop-up windows. At least, I haven't quite figured out how to set it up to do that. But I'm going to go into my, my build settings, and I'm going to add, first off, I'm going to add the current scene, and I'm going to include the new battle arena. I'm just going to drag and drop that into the scenes and build window. It's the top half of the build settings window. You can't really miss it. And that's going to give me access to call load and load that scene in because it's part of the build settings. Now, when I go to do that, I can do that either by the index, which I really wish this was showing up in the recording and be a little easier, but you could access it by the zero-based index that's created from the order of the scenes in your build, or you can reference it by the name of the scene, which is just the name of the scene file, Grassy Arena 1, which we specified earlier. So what I need now is I need a way that when I load up this field 1 scene, that I can know which battle arenas are applicable to this level, and then I can load those scenes in additively, and then when I get into a battle, I need to be able to choose the appropriate scene by its key and move my character and my enemies there and activate it, and then hide the original terrain. So I have my So I'm going to create a new empty object, and I'm going to put him at the origin, and we're going to call him Battle Arena Manager. And I'm going to create a new script. Battle Arena Manager. He's going to remain a mono behavior because I'm going to attach him to this scene. I was going to do an error check on whether or not the battle arena was there, but maybe there's some levels where we don't have battles. I don't know. You know, like cinematic scenes. But in that case, I wouldn't have a battle arena manager in the scene in the first place. So Alright, so if I see that and it's a scene with no battle arenas, I'm going to hopefully be smart enough to just delete that from the scene, because that's an unnecessary object to load. So on start, we're going to pop in here and we're going to load arenas. So I believe it's application.load_level additive async is going to, so load level will shut down this current scene and load a new scene entirely. Load level additive will load a new scene and merge it into the current scene. So you get all the game objects that are in that scene as well as the ones you currently have, which if you're not careful, you could cause some problems. You want to use load level if you're going to bring in another scene with all of your core items like your player object, your cameras, your lighting, stuff like that. It's a whole new level that you're going into, and none of this stuff from the previous level should carry over. Load level additive is for if you're loading in separate components like I'm about to do with my battle arenas. I want those to come in alongside the currently loaded stuff. Now, you can prevent things from being destroyed when a new level is loaded by calling don't destroy on load. And you give it the object of the item that's that you don't want to have destroyed the next time the load level is called. And I'm just noticing the documentation says that was deprecated, with no indication as to what to replace that with. Okay, so it looks like instead of application.don't_destroy_onload, object.don't_destroy_onload is the appropriate thing. So I could say this dot, no, I could say GameObject.don't_destroy_onload and give it the object I don't want destroyed when a new scene is loaded. But for this case, I want to load additive async. So I want to load my new scenes, my battle arenas, into this scene, but I don't want to wait for it to finish loading. I want the load to happen in parallel with my normal execution, which, since this will start happening as we open the scene, we're going to not really be getting into a battle as soon as we start, right? We have a few seconds before we get to an enemy and get into a battle, and all of our battle arenas will have loaded in by then. And in a real-world scenario, not our test scenario, you'll be starting from a save point, which will be in a relatively safe area. There's not going to be enemies around, so you'll have even more time until the arena is actually needed to be used. So application.load_level_additive_async, and this returns an async operation, and we can give it either the index or the level name, like I was referencing before, which in this case I'm going to give it the key. And what can I do with this async operation? Okay, so this allows us to restrict whether or not we've allowed the scene to be activated. So you can load the scene in a disabled state, and then once you're ready for it, you can turn this on, and it'll actually finish bringing the object into the scene. You can track the progress of the load, and you can check if the load is done. And it's important to note that the is done will not be true until you've set allow scene activation to true. So if I set this to false immediately after getting it, it will be in a preloaded state, but it won't be a part of our object hierarchy over here until I set that allow scene activation to true. Just one way you can kind of control the introduction of objects that are being loaded. Now the problem though is I wanted to put the newly loaded content as a child of my current object, so I could kind of keep track of those and delete them as necessary. Now I could do this with a GameObject.find after the load is done, so that I can kind of I can kind of track based on the name of the key, and I will have to go back to my other scene and make sure that I'm naming my game object for the battle arena the same thing as my key. Then, yeah, I could grab it like that. But yeah, this is one of the annoying things with Unity 3D's scene management, is that there's no real like built-in way to track content that you've loaded separately from another scene. So there, without doing a diff against what I have currently in the scene before I start my load and what I have in my scene after my load, I don't really have a way to delete only the things that came from this newly loaded scene without doing any kind of manual object tracking. Which then itself wouldn't be like, it's not a difficult piece of code to write, but I shouldn't have to, right? That seems like the kind of thing that, it should be just a part of this loading this object. I should get the information is there as to what it's loading, right? Like, the engine knows, hey, these game objects are in this scene, and we're going to load these objects, and we're going to add them to the current scene. Like, just tell me the names of those objects, or give me references to those objects. Like, that seems like a fairly obvious thing to do. But in this case, do I care about doing anything with the asynchronous, I can't talk, the asynchronous operation? And the answer is, in this scenario, no, I don't. And I feel like, well, actually I do. I want to know when they are all done. Load level additive async. This is deprecated. Use scene manager.load scene. That's... when did they add that? Scene manager. Unity engine.scene management. Let's take a look at this. Okay, that's a fairly small... Well, hot damn, maybe I'm actually going to get all that stuff I was just saying is super easy. When did they add Scene Manager? Scene Management at runtime. And what are you? You're a public class. Scene count. Get all scenes. Doesn't look like I'm going to get the things I was mentioning. Interesting. So I'm not sure exactly the full usage of this. There's a few new functions in here, like merging scene and a few other things. I'm gonna investigate that a little bit later, but for now, it seems as though scene manager dot load scene async is going to be what we want, which does very much the same thing. It's got an index, it's got a scene name, and it's got an index with a mode and a name with a mode. What's mode? Additive or single? Okay. So there's our additive portion of this. So load scene async, we're going to give it the key, we're going to use additive. And I do care about the end of the scene, or all of the loads rather. I do this in a coroutine without needing to store those async operations. Honestly here, so I'm just gonna oh, easy there. Not thinking. A little too quick on the trigger finger with my resolve reference. So I'm going to add my async operation, and then I'm going to I'm going to start all my load scene asyncs. So if I got 5 of them, I'll start loading all 5 of them. And then I'm going to loop here on my async operations, and I'm going to yield return the async operation, which will, the coroutine is going to be executing in the background. But I'm going to wait until every single one of these has finished loading. At least that's what should happen. Now, by the time the first one is finished, the subsequent one should be mostly finished until I get to a point where it's yield returning, but it's immediately done because the operation is finished. There's nothing to wait on. So let's see how this works. Well, actually, so this still doesn't help me because the second step of this is that I need to loop again on my string. I'm going to gameObject.find this. You might have seen me do that in a recent part, and it's just a matter of caution. Usually when you're instantiating objects or loading them in and reparenting them, you get some funky transform issues. So after I set the parent, I like to just reset my local position, especially in this case where not only... So here's the trick. I don't have the piece that's going to turn off my main terrain yet, but for the moment, we're going to deactivate our battle arenas as they come in as well. And we're going to reparent it as a child of this battle arena manager. So we got this guy. We want a battle arena manager on him. We have a key, and it's going to be grassy field 1. Now I need to pop back into my other scene real quick and make sure that I named, not only is my key grassy field 1, but that my the game object that is at the root of that scene is that same name. Grassy Arena 1 was the name of it. So Grassy Arena 1, and the name of the scene is Grassy Arena 1. And the key is Grassy Arena 1. Man, I suck at being consistent. So I'm going to change the key here to be Grassy Arena 1, just because. So Battle Arena, Grassy Arena 1. Let's go ahead and, well, this guy's going to deactivate one way or the other, so that's fine. So let's pop in here, and we should see our... That's a different... What is going on here? What is this business? This is new. Okay, they have changed something with this. Oh, okay. Alright, so forgive me, I'm being caught a little off guard here because this is way different than when I was experimenting with this a few weeks ago. Or at least, they've changed this recently. Yeah, I wonder when this was actually added. Yeah, this is really throwing me off. So the behavior I was expecting, and I bet I can get this exact same behavior by using the deprecated method. Wow, okay, so it's treating it exactly the same. They must have changed that sometime in version 5. Okay, so that makes that... So is it still accessible then in the scene? How does this work? Yeah, okay, so I don't need any of this garbage, really. Like, that's what I'm learning. Anyways. So when I load async, I'm doing all this. So yeah. mean, really, I just need to call that if the end result is going to be that I'm going to have that in a separate area. So, yeah. Well, first off, without the battle manager here, I'm going to go ahead and yeah, so the other guy will be loading second, so his awake will be replacing this battle arena. So when I go and get into a fight, yeah, so you see how the ground's all jacking up because my player's actually here. So I am on the new battle arena, everything's fine, it's just the placement is wonky because I'm not deactivating the rest of the terrain. Fascinating. So scene manager had a few other things. Let's take another look at this real quick. So get all scenes. I looked at this and I had initially thought, okay, this is just going to give me all the scenes that are in the build settings. But let's try this real quick. So is this just all the loaded scenes? I mean, either way, I only have the 2 scenes in my scene anyways, so this is going to give me all the scenes. Whoops. But yeah, field 1, grassy arena 1. So I don't really have a way to detect whether this is all the scenes. Well, I do, because I'm duplicating my field 2, and I'm adding this in here, and I'm not loading it. So, so yeah, I just have the loaded scenes. And if I'm calling this before the load scene async, I should just have field 1 down here. Which I do. So fascinating. So, and then in that case as well, thought I saw something in a delete or unload scene, and I can give it what? I can give it the index. Set active scene. Sets the scene to be active. And that takes an instance of the scene, not the name. Let's try that. So this should deactivate field 1 and leave only my battle arena active, which won't have anything here because I'll then be unloading my camera as well. Didn't do nothing. Wait. No, so that would have set the first scene as active. Question is, what does that mean? Like, that doesn't seem to really affect anything. Get active scene. I don't know what that means exactly. I can move game objects from one scene to the other, and I can merge whole scenes into other scenes. I'm going to make this not async because I want to make sure this is finished loading before I try this merge. I mean, that could be what was wrong with that active also. So what I expect to see then is all this field 1 stuff into... which it didn't do anything. I need to read a little bit then, apparently, because I don't know what that's supposed to be. Either way, clearly I do not need to worry about this so much. I can get a reference to the scene, and then I can unload the scene when I'm done. Yes? So... So really, I do still want this to be a coroutine, just for a different reason now. Yeah, so I'm going to load all the scenes. I'm going to yield return. I'm going to yield on all of these async operations. Normally, from a performance standpoint or whatever, I would find a way to merge these two concepts, but quite frankly, I'm not going to have more than 2 or 3 scenes ever in a single scene, so I'm not too worried about looping over these a couple times. So, loaded scenes. Yeah, so I want to keep track of my loaded scenes. And then when I go to load a new scene, this guy's destroy is going to get called. Well, shit, this is just going to do all the work for me. This is literally doing everything for me. I don't need to do that, or... So really, I don't need... I should really read before I go doing things. You know, you would think, this late in my life I'd be smart enough to do that. I don't need any of this crap. Goodbye. yeah, so destroying that triggered the on destroy and killed off my scenes. My other question though about this whole thing, what's this guy do if it finds a scene name that it can't find? Is this going to throw exceptions everywhere? Yeah. Exactly. Now what if so what if the first scene it finds, is it going to blow up there and not load the rest of the scenes? No, it's just a debug.log error. It still loaded my other scene, and when I delete this, I should see an error, but will it delete the... Yeah, sure did. Actually, it didn't yell about not being able to, by the scene name that I don't have, not being loaded and not existing. It didn't yell at this on load, it just gracefully handled it. And this load scene async, it debug.logged error somewhere in its stack, but it did not actually throw any exception at me. Interesting. So no need for, once again, Unity, they don't really throw exceptions out of their engine so much as they just log error at you and exit out, which is nice. Which is nice. You don't want game execution stopping because, because something you were doing before doesn't work anymore because there's an API change or something. Let it keep working as it was supposed to and make new functions and point people at those. So, perfect. So let's get rid of you. I'm fine with that guy sitting here. Though, at this point, I could just drop this object itself and make this a part of system. But quite frankly, I haven't really decided on the lifetime of some of these objects, so I'll keep that separate for now. And I need to now... So the iBattle... So Battle Arena Manager game object is going to chill out here. Now what about this set active scene thing? Let me look into that, because that might also be something I want to use. Yeah, so this documentation isn't really helpful at all. I think maybe the active scene is just the scene that was loaded holistically, and when I use it, it just helps me track what the root parent scene is. So in the case where, like, maybe I have one scene I've loaded in, I've loaded additive a second scene, but then I'm going to merge a bunch of my game objects from the first scene into the second scene, set it as active, and then I'm going to unload the previous scene. That would let me kind of migrate things like my player and stuff into a new scene seamlessly without having to go to a loading screen. Which, is incredibly interesting, actually. I'm going to have to experiment with that and see if maybe that's something I want to take advantage of here. If I could do some, hide the loading screen behind some long hallways or something. Load in part of a new scene as a transition and then merge and unload, migrate things over. The only trick then is the positioning for the new scene would have to line up with the old scene, depending on the player position. Which isn't undoable, it's just kind of annoying. So yeah, I might just keep it simple, stick to like a loading screen or something. If I can preload a lot of the new scene anyways, like any kind of loading screen would be pretty short. But that's a bit of a tangent. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so I got my Battle Arena Manager. Now I need my interface. I need my IOC component to be able to get these battle arenas. Yeah, so here's the problem then. Well, it's not really a problem per se. So, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got my battle arenas. I really should make a new folder for the battle arena itself. So I'm going to create another C# script, battle arena manager interface. I'm only going to have this one implementer of the interface, but oh, Visual Studio, what are you doing to me? I don't know why I lost my Solution Explorer, but whatever. Solution Explorers are for wimps. Who needs them? Public interface. Void. If I could type, register arena. And he's going to take a game object, or is he going to take a iBattle arena? Or is he going to take a transform? Give him a transform. Yeah, register and unregister arena. So actually, I guess I don't need this loaded scenes anymore either. We're going to unregister. And unregister. And part of the unregistration we're going to unload the scene, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to call this register and unregister from the awake and destroy of iBattle Arena. So Battle Arena has this key, and he's not going to ioccontainer.instance.add item. He's going to ioccontainer.instance.get iBattle Arena manager. Manager is not equal to null. The manager.register, this dot key, and this dot transform. Changed my mind, I want game objects. I don't know why, but that feels better. So the battle arena, all the battle arenas will be loaded in when the scene activates, when the main scene. When I change levels, that scene will become unloaded and a new scene will be reloaded. So when that scene unloads, the arenas will be unregistered and the scene manager in the iBattle Arena Manager will unload that scene. And then when the new scene loads in, it will have its own Battle Arena Manager instance that will replace the instance that was in the previous scene in the IOC container. And when it loops over its keys, it'll go and load those battle arenas, which those scenes will have their own keys in here that'll match, and they will go ahead and register themselves with the new arena. So that's all hunky-dory. So now then, do I actually need to do that though? On destroy, I'm unloading all these scenes. I think I don't need to even bother with this. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even need unregister at all, actually, because the destruction's already going to take care of that for me. So really, that's all I need. Now then, I do need a way to retrieve my arena. So I need to be able to get the arena. Now, in my... So I got iBattle Arena Manager, and I've got iBattle Arena. Where am I using iBattle Arena? Because that's no longer accessible from the IOC container. Just here. I'm only using that here in this stationary battle manager. iBattle Arena. So this really just wants to become iBattle Arena Manager. Arena is going to be used in a few spots here, right? So we're doing this, and in set positions, it's also used. But I think those are going to be the only couple functions, are my start battles, my set positions, and my stop battle. Yeah. So currently I don't have a way to determine, based on the terrain that the player is on, what battle arena they should go to. That's going to need to take a little more thought, because if I need to look at the textures that are on a particular spot of terrain that I'm standing on and associate that with a arena key, that's much trickier. But I could also control that with colliders, so that if I'm in a certain collider, I know which arena to go for. That is probably fine, quite frankly. And actually, I mean, hell, I could tie that to the spawn locations, because my enemy spawn areas are going to be, you know, a section based on a collider. And quite frankly, even though visually the spawn area is much larger than this grass section, yeah, I could tighten that down. I had intended to make this much larger, but I've been working more on the game systems than the actual game. I need to, I could tie the key for the arena to use to this spawn location, so that if you get into a fight within this spawn location, it's going to go to that arena. Because realistically, I'm only going to be spawning enemies that are suitable to a particular region anyway. So I'm only going to spawn land-based animals here, but if I had a spawn location further out into, let's say this was a desert area, I'd be spawning more desert-based enemies. I wouldn't have the same enemies as I would find in a lush green forest area. So yeah, so I can tie my I can tie which arena to use to the spawn location that the player is in. And I'm going to write that down, because I'm not going to do that right now, but I might come back later and do that. Where's my to-do list? There you are. Now then, where was I though? So I need to change my stationary battle manager to use my new iBattle Arena Manager to get the arena. And for the moment, I'm just going to hard code which arena to use until I put together the system I wanted to, that I was just discussing. So Arena Manager, so I need to get the arena. So this.arenamanager.get. Aha, yes, I forgot to do that. I meant to make that part of the interface. Thought I forgot something. I really need to get rid of this other start battle thing, but it's part of my interface for the moment. I have on my list to clean up this class, so I'll come back and deal with this at some point. Quite frankly, if I don't have an arena, then I've got huge issues anyways. Thought I was already handling this with show. Why am I doing this here? Yeah. That's that must be a holdover from something else. Reset. Where's reset battle called from? I think that's just called from the game over controller. Yeah. And does it do... It does nothing after that. Load from save. Oh, save game controller, not game over controller. Yeah, okay. Okay, so in that case... I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with my save game and load game stuff as far as the scene management stuff goes. Because quite frankly, like, I always find it weird when games, when you reload and you're not really going to a different area or anything like that, but then it just scraps and reloads everything. It seems so wasteful and such a inefficient use of your player's time. So I guess I need to track, well, when I go back to my save information, I'm going to need to know what scene I'm in anyways. So if the scene is the same, maybe there's some way I can mitigate a lot of that based on just keeping information separate. So I only need to reset certain bits of information and not holistically reset the entire level. But we'll see. That's many, many questions down the road. So I should get that, and that should all work fine. Now, there is one other thing I mentioned before, and that is that I need to be able to turn off my level terrain. Right? I need to hide this entire thing, as well as his buddies here. So really I need to make sure everything in the terrain is a child of the terrain first and foremost. Those placeholder texts. God. I'm going to pretend those aren't there because that is very much a debug thing, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. And am I going to have more than one terrain in a level? I think not. At the same time, I don't want to say no. So I'm going to deal with this very simply to start with, and if I come back to it and I need to have more than one terrain in a level, I can build a system very much like this to manage my terrains. But for the moment, where should I put something to grab the current terrain out of the IOC container? Actually, before I go jumping down hoops, yeah, there you go. So before I go dicking around with creating an IOC or something, in order to do that, I can just get the active terrain, .gameObject.setActive to false and true. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, yeah. Right? If I'm showing a battle arena, I want to hide the terrain. And if I am hiding the terrain, I want to show it. And there you go. So let's go for it. Let's see what happens. So there's my level. Everything's still happy. It's still good. There's my big obnoxious sign. Let's get in a fight. And I exploded horribly. Why did I explode horribly? Arena manager.getArena. No reference exception. Did I forget to IOC register my iBattle Arena Manager? Okay. Get Arena. Grassy Arena 1. Registered arenas is instantiated. Get arena key. This star registered arenas contains key. Then return that, else return null. And it wasn't on the next line that it blew up, it was on this line, so arena manager must be null. Am I calling start battle before the battle arena itself is active? This dot enabled is true for the first time right here. I don't have anything in my update anymore, do I? If in battle's true, yeah. So. And is this guy... No, he is enabled by default. Stationary Battle Manager is not enabled, though. So I need to enable this by default so his code will run, and then I need to disable him here, just like I did in my code. So let's go and do that again. So I should see, yep, that guy goes to false. And now he should have that IOC container. There we go. There's an error of some sort, but I popped into my window, and my scene is the only one here. Destroying game objects immediately is not permitted during physics/trigger contact. I wasn't destroying anything. I'm setting it to inactive. I wasn't, It worked at any rate. Let's escape and go back and see if the activate works. Oh, did not, that's for sure. So terrain.gameObject.setActive is acting as a destroy. That's less convenient than I'd hoped it would be. I mean, I get it. I'm technically colliding with the terrain constantly, and it doesn't want me to destroy an object while it's in there, but at the same time, I'm not trying to destroy it. I'm trying to inactivate it. Do a little more Google foo here with my error message. See if something comes up that's useful. Yeah, okay. I think I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. This has a different problem though. So the showing of the terrain wouldn't have worked because there's no active terrain anymore. So, all right. So the problem with that hide and throwing that error was because of the physics collision. I need to call this hide, or rather this set active false, from within a coroutine, so that I can do a yield return null, or a yield new wait for end of frame, in order to wait until the physics is done and then hide the terrain. But quite frankly, that's not going to work because of the issue I mentioned with the set active true. So my initial plan was going to be to put to make an iTerrain interface, shoot that into my IOC container, and give it some hide and show. so I can keep track of the object. Where do I want to put this? Object management? I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, that's what it is, but it's pretty much just been around pulling and deactivating. Well, I guess it's about activating and deactivating objects. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't have anywhere more applicable to put it, so. Terrain. Yeah. That doesn't need to be an interface either. Terrain manager. And put this onto my level terrain. And then in my yeah, I'll just go ahead and do this here. Since I need to clean this up anyways, I may as well keep this together. Forgetting to do this. Yeah, I guess I don't have a remove item. But when I change scenes drastically and reload things, like, I just need to make sure that items I'm loading additively don't register themselves to the IOC container directly, that they register themselves to intermediary interfaces in the container. Because I'm not managing removal of items from the container on a per item basis, but when the whole scene is unloaded and reloaded, the IOC container will be disposed and all of the items within it will be removed, and if they are disposable, they'll be closed up as well, which so far none of them are disposable, but I don't know. There might be times where I want to do some stuff. Actually, I'm not even removing items, am I? Oh, damn. But I have a thing over here. I thought I was doing something about that. Destroy IOC. Yeah. Yeah, I don't need to manage destroying the items. I just need to clear the list. I'm fine with that. Let's go ahead and get into a fight. By the way the show worked, the hide still threw that error. Let's see what you think now. Come here, you. Yep, no error. Sweet. There we are. All right. All right, well now my battle arenas are separate, so, and if I have multiple battle arenas, that should just pick up just fine. So I think that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.